Live from the CBS19 News Studio, this is CBS19 News at 6. Charlottesville News first.
A surprise plea agreement for the woman accused of assaulting EMTs in Orange County court today. We'll tell you the terms of that deal.
A man convicted of a Charlottesville murder has been previously convicted of a violent crime. Why he was back on the streets.
And children's author, doctor, pageant contestant. We'll tell you about a local woman's quest to achieve all her goals, no matter how busy she might be. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Schutte.
And I'm Ashley Brooks. Rick Young has the night off tonight, but we thank you so much for joining us. Our top story at 6, the woman who attacked 2 Orange County EMS paramedics in 2022, back in court today.
Sierra Johnson was arrested earlier this year for a bail violation and was back in court for what was supposed to be a bond hearing, but didn't turn out that way. CBS 19's Sarah Allen joins us now with the latest. Sarah.
Hey, Dan and Ashley, that's right. Sierra Johnson was sentenced after a surprise plea deal was accepted in court. Johnson was sentenced by a judge for 25 years total, but 24 years and 6 months of that sentence was suspended, meaning she'll serve about 6 months behind bars. Her remaining 6 months will also include credits from her time spent in jail while waiting on a plea deal. The deal also included over $17,000 to be paid in restitution, 3 years of supervised probation after she's released, and continued mental health counseling and medication. If you remember, Johnson's first plea deal was denied back in December after a judge called the case one of the most brutal he had seen without a death involved. That original deal was only set for 6 months of house arrest, and the victims were not happy. But according to special prosecutor on the case, Jeffrey Hayslip, today's deal they agreed with.
The victims in the case were happy to be heard. They spoke to me about the case and what they'd like to see happen. They really just wanted to send the court to send the message that if you harm a first responder or someone who is there to do good, to help, that you're going to receive a jail sentence.
Now, the judge was very clear that if she disobeyed the deal, including failing to continue with those mental health services, she runs the risk of having to serve more jail time. I reached out to one of the victims, and she said that she's happy that the deal sends a message and is glad that it's all come to an end after 2 years. Live in the studio, Sarah Allen, CBS 19 News.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Albemarle County Police releasing their annual report for 2023, and it shows several types of crime are on the rise. Homicides in Albemarle County doubling from 2022 to 2023, up to 6 from 3 the year prior. There were 31 reported rapes in the county, up 7 from the year before. Aggravated assaults went up with 62 reported in 2023. The only serious or violent crime category that saw a drop was larceny. Tomorrow, we'll have police on in studio to talk about these numbers. That analysis is coming up during the CBS 19 News at 4. Tadashi Keys now serving his second life sentence after the court gave him that sentence yesterday for the first-degree murder of an anti-gun violence advocate.
CBS 19's Felicity Taylor explaining how Keys got out the first time and why the judge gave him the sentence again. Felicity.
Dan and Ashley, yesterday in the courtroom, Judge Padrick told Eldridge Smith's family that the justice system had failed them. After he sentenced Keys to life in prison, he said, quote, "Let's hope this one sticks."
Mr. Keys is somebody who, but for being given that second chance, he would be sitting in a prison cell.
4 months and 8 days. That's how long Tadashi Keys was free from a previous life sentence before he killed his friend. On Monday, Keys was sentenced to life for murdering Eldridge Smith.
We need to make sure that this can't ever happen again to anyone else's family members, certainly not at the hands of Mr. Keys.
Keys was 18 in 2004 when he was sentenced to life for the first time. He was taken down as a part of a federal drug and gun conspiracy case. At the time, sentencing guidelines were mandatory, but that all changed in 2018. The First Step Act, a bipartisan criminal justice bill passed by Congress and signed by President Donald Trump, was designed to improve criminal justice outcomes and shrink the federal prison population.
To his demise, the judge was a little bit smarter than the last one.
Records show Keys had disciplinary issues during his first stint in prison. In Monday's sentencing paperwork, the judge gave 3 reasons for giving Keys life. 1, it was Keys' second life sentence in 21 years. 2, he executed his victim, shooting Smith 14 times in the head and neck at point-blank range. And 3, the facts of the case altogether. When giving Keyes his sentence yesterday, Judge Patrick said he's not sure how Keyes even got out in the first place. In the studio, Felicity Taylor, CBS 19 News.
Felicity, thank you. The Orange County Sheriff's Office wants your help to identify a person using counterfeit money. Officials say a person used fake $20 bills at a Sheetz in Locust Grove March 4th. Take a look at the picture. Anyone with information on this person's identity is please asked to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Well, now let's head on over to take our first look at the forecast on a mighty fine day to be outside. Travis?
And now, your CBS 19 Weather Authority forecast from the Bright Star Care Charlottesville Weather Center.
Was a splendid Tuesday indeed. Temperatures lower to middle 70s around the area and lots of sunshine. And hey, for those of you that like warmer days in March and also the later sunset, kind of hard to argue with what we've got going on. JES Skyline Network Cam in Madison. You've got a lot of high-level cirrus clouds, and if they stick around for another hour or so, we're going to have ourselves a pretty sweet sunset. So do keep an eye on that western horizon. But remember, don't look directly at the sun. Still 74 degrees in Charlottesville. Madison, you're at 72. 70 in Orange, 72 in Scottsville, upper 60s in Harrisonburg and Stanton. Skies mostly clear. A few of these cirrus clouds just rolling through the evening and during the overnight. Your temperatures in the 60s through 9 p.m., 50s after that, with overnight lows generally in the 40s. Looking ahead, mainly clear overnight. Back to the same old tomorrow. In other words, tomorrow a repeat of today. A mainly dry extended forecast and the short term staying warm, but the warm days are numbered. I will explain when things get cooler and tell you when things get cooler in just a couple minutes.
Sounds good, Travis. Thank you. It looks like Mickey Tavern will not be sold to the Thomas Jefferson Foundation. According to a post on the Mickey Tavern Facebook page, the tavern will still be operated by the same team that's run it for 50 years. The post says the general store and the shop will reopen this spring. It says the Thomas Jefferson Foundation is the organization that terminated the contract for sale.
Virginia troops will play a major role in giving aid to people affected by the heavy fighting in Gaza. Over 500 men and women left Norfolk today. Their goal is to build a floating dock off the Gaza coast to help families get the food, aid, and medical assistance they need. It's the mission mentioned by President Biden during his State of the Union address last week.
A court appearance today for some of the protesters arrested after bringing traffic to a halt on Interstate 95 and 64 in Richmond. 6 of the protesters had to spend the night in jail. They were in a Richmond court this morning. The judge granted the protesters a cognizant bond. That means they didn't have to put any money up. It means the remaining protesters will be held in jail and were released today. If convicted, the protesters face up to 2 years in jail plus fines.
50% of Americans have hypertension, and many of them don't even know it. In hopes of beating what's called the silent killer, Jefferson Madison Regional Library will now be offering blood pressure machines for checkout. This is in partnership with the American Heart Association and funded by the Bama Works Foundation towards a bigger initiative of health equity, so that people don't have to be in the dark about their health.
You can come in with your library card and you will get a blood pressure cuff. There's an educational packet, a book about hypertension and high blood pressure. So you can take that home, borrow it for a couple weeks, log your numbers, take it with you to your next doctor's appointment, and have that conversation with your doctor to help you either establish hypertension or monitor and manage it at home.
A few of the branches will also have permanent blood pressure stations, and the librarians will be equipped with information to help with any questions.
After an increase in reported incidents of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia at universities across the nation, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine vouching for a bill that could help students get a response in a timely manner.
Gretchen Stinger joining us now to tell us more about this bill. Gretchen.
Dan and Ashley, according to the Department of Education, between October 1st, 2023 and February 15th of 2024, the Office of Civil Rights has received 219 complaints relating to Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and anti-Arab discrimination. That's over a 1,000% increase compared to the year before. Senator Tim Kaine announcing today that he has co-sponsored the Showing Up for Students Act, which will provide $280 million in additional funding for the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education. In a statement, Senator Kaine says, quote, passing this legislation would provide the Office for Civil Rights with crucial resources to combat discrimination and ensure a safe learning environment for students. According to the same release, for years, funding for OCR has not kept up with the increase in need for their services. Now, Senator Kane says the Showing Up for Students Act will give the OCR the funding to maintain their responsibility to students by adding more staff and resources to respond in a timely manner. CBS 19 will be talking with Senator Kane tomorrow, and we'll make sure to ask him more about these details. In the newsroom, Gretchen Stanger, CBS 19 News.
All right, Gretchen, thank you for that report tonight. Meanwhile, both Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine have applauded the Senate confirmation of Jasmine Yoon to be U.S. District Judge for the Western District of Virginia. The Senate recently passed a vote on her nomination. That move allowed for a confirmation vote today. Yoon is the first Asian American federal judge to ever serve in the state. Warner highlighted her accomplishments on the Senate floor before her confirmation.
For the last decade and a half, Jasmine has served as an invaluable asset to Virginia's legal community, offering both a unique zeal for public service and an incredible life story. I know that she will serve with distinction and make our country and our Commonwealth proud.
Yoon has served as interim university counsel and associate university counsel at UVA, her alma mater. She also worked as an assistant United States attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, where she investigated and prosecuted more than 80 financial crimes and public corruption cases. Well, there is a local woman competing in the Miss Virginia pageant that could create a lot of confusion if she wins.
Yeah, do you call her Miss Virginia USA? Do you call her Dr. Miss Virginia USA? Miss Dr. Virginia USA? It could be pretty confusing. After your forecast, we'll hear from this local physician who also is a children's author. But first, let's check in with Travis for a forecast he's writing up that's not too bad.
Not at all. You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner. High pressure maintaining hold of our skies. Rain, not for a few days. Fairly dry 7-day overall. We'll tell you about it after this.